luxury agent drives a Rolls Royce and walks
Oh, I
around the
know.
house in stilettos. And I'm like, sure they do.
Yeah,
None of
that's
them
what I
can
was just
afford
gonna
that.
ask you.
But
What
yes,
what was something that people also believe about us as agents in our business that really isn't true? So
it's funny. I think it's the consumer and also other agents. I have been fascinated with the number of times that I will meet people and they're like, oh, you're not who I thought you were going to be. I'm like, what did you expect? They're like, you're a top producer. So we expected like this whole costume.
good afternoon, Alison Alston from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm Cynthia Tant with what am I with? Oh, Sip Sell Repeat. This background right here, I literally am in Punta Cana right now. And so I thought I would get fancy back there and kind of show you this is after Hurricane Melissa bypassed us and went to Jamaica. We had a little bit of rain and stuff, but not too shabby. Allison, I understand that you have been a seasoned real estate professional and leader at the Lodestone Real Estate in North Carolina. How many
That's
years you been
correct.
in real estate?
I will be starting my ninth year.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And so you're recognized as among the top 1.5% of real estate professionals nationwide, built a reputation for this excellence, and your team has achieved 46 million in sales volume. That's awesome. Ranking number 54 by volume and number 63 by sides in North Carolina. You also hold the prestigious industry designations, which include the At Home with Diversity and the Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist. So, Allison, other than that, what else do we need to find out about you today?
I think for me, the biggest thing is just having fun.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think it sounds like we're very much aligned. I know you said you're reaching out to a lot of women in particular. My team's all females.
That's
I have one
awesome.
gentleman, I have a young gentleman in France that I'm mentoring who's fabulous. I love him to death. But I really enjoy helping young women grow and finding a safe space to do that in. I was fortunate, I had a phenomenal mentor when I got into this. And so I've had a pretty quick trajectory of growth myself and enjoy helping others see the same thing.
Well, Allison, explain that a little bit because I try as a broker myself.
Yeah.
I work with young men and young women coming into the field, but it's just a matter of for the women perspective, how would you define your success today? Because I know you mentioned that mentor. Then when you got started, and what are some of those key points that you might want to share with the other ladies that are just getting into real estate or even ones that have been in real estate for years, like myself?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, if you're brand new, find a phenomenal mentor. Don't try and do it yourself. Even in the short time I've been in real estate, the amount of change that's happened in the industry is astronomical. And it's picking up pace with each year. There's so much new technology and new laws and different things being added that I think it's really important to have a solid mentor to get your base, your foundation set really strong before you get going. And for those that are seasoned, I think it's really important to be a part of whether it's at your brokerage or outside of it. It's really up to you. But I think having a strong group of fellow women that really look at this as a business, that they're owning this as a business. And it's not just about helping people buy and sell homes, right? It's that bigger picture of this is truly my career. This is what I'm doing with this. Here's the financial acumen behind it, tax strategies, all of these things that come into play that we don't get taught in school coming up. And so I think having a good group of women around you to help support you and bounce ideas off of. And I think also just a great group of people that you can relax and have fun with, because as you know, you spend a great deal of time in this industry. It can be 24/7 if you let it. So you really have to find a way to layer your personal and professional in a means of giving you a break every once in a while.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. And yes, I said here I am on an island, the Dominican
Yeah,
Republic, on
I love it.
vacation, and I'm doing podcasting. But this is fun for me. I've got
I
several of
love
the
that.
ladies here. They've done it while I've been here, and so it I do balance my. Everyone says, "When are you going to retire, Cindy? When are you going to retire?" I said, "But I can do this and still do my business. I have
Yes.
great."
Yes.
I got great agents that have been working for me for years. The Airbnb business, the long-term rentals. So let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
when you say that balance, how do you, and I don't know if you have family or not, but how do you balance that work, family, friends,
That whole
us in real
dynamic.
estate, since we do
Yes.
a million things? Yes.
I will say it took a lot of practice and a lot of hard work. I am a workaholic. If you just let me keep going, I will keep going. About 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune, and I had to take a step back from everything for a few months. And I really had to take a hard look at my life and what habits and behaviors I was doing that led me to that point, and what I could do to pull back and still be successful, but not kill myself. And so I don't like using the word balance because I think it creates this false sense of, well, it's going to all balance out and it's going to be perfect. And the reality is that doesn't exist, right? So I like to think of it as integration, and just finding ways to integrate personal and professional that you can still have joy and your brain can have a rest and you don't feel like you're on 24/7, but there isn't a true separation of church and state, so to speak. So, for example, my husband and I, we have a fur baby. We have a lot of nieces and nephews we love dearly, but no children of our own. And tomorrow night, so Halloween's a big deal in our neighborhood. And we have two sets of friends coming over and they've got little ones. So they're going to come, they're going to take them out of do trick or treating. I mean, at their age, they're probably going to hit 4 or 5 houses and then come back.
Okay.
But it's become a tradition and they're all clients of mine. So we always end up talking about the real estate
Yes.
market. One of them is actively looking to turn their current property into a rental and get a new house with a larger yard now that they have kids and are wanting more. It's going to be a great time. You know, my husband and I love to entertain. We're both really big cooks. So we're going to have a really fun meal with everybody and get to kind of have that real estate talk, but in a much more relaxed environment. And then at the same time, I get to see all the adorable little kids in their costume and give them out candy. And I don't have to pay the price of the sugar crash later. So the win win.
It sounds like a great win-win. And I liked how you say not trying to use the word balance that is always brought up. How do we make this happen? Because we're so, because of your personal experience and had to step back. And when you, obviously, when you had to step back, that mindset, you had to like just reevaluate what you were doing
Yeah,
because real estate is a tough profession. It takes a
it
lot of work,
is.
a lot of effort. How were you at that point in time where you had to step back, which it sounds like you're very, like you said, you're a workaholic, you're go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
how did you go through that time period in the mindset of your profession?
It was really difficult. I'm going to be completely honest. I really struggled mentally for 2 months, and it was a really difficult thing for me to learn how to slow down. I'm not good sitting still. I'm absolutely terrible at it. You know, there's always stuff that can be done in my mind, and I like to keep moving and doing it. And so it was really hard to accept that. I have to do infusions. And so I had a nurse come to train me. And that was a big thing because the nurse was like, "Oh, so you want to do this on your own?" I'm like, "Yes, I want my independence. Like, you're a very nice human." And his name is Doug, and he was fabulous. And we're still in touch. But I just wanted to get that box checked and learn this as quickly as possible so I could get my control and independence back, and do this on my schedule and working around me. And so I think the first few months I was really still trying to fight in my own way. I'm very stubborn. And then it finally started to sink in and I realized, okay, I can't just band-aid this, right? This is not going to work. And so I started taking Sundays off. So for the first time in almost 10 years, I took a vacation day once a week, which is insane. Like now that I've been doing this for over a year and a half, it's insane to me to even say out loud that I didn't even want to take a whole day off. But that was just right. That's how we get programmed. We get into real estate. It's like 24/7. You have to be available or the lead's going to go to somebody else. And it was like, do I really? Do I really need to be number one? And it's just, I think it's a shifting of priorities, and what's important. It led to me restructuring my team. Like it was a lot of changes in a short period of time, but I think most of them are really positive and the dividends that they've been paying out in terms of that integration with my life and my personal and professional have been incredible. I mean, I just got back from a 2-week vacation in France. I haven't taken 2 weeks vacation in 10 years. And everybody survived and everybody was happy and the clients are thrilled. And so it's like it can be done. So I think it was a good little kick in their pants for me, so to speak.
That's what I said something when we were on the boat trip today. I said, yeah, because a friend of mine, she goes, "What day are you going to retire?" And I go, I just don't. I'm here. I have
Yeah.
employees. I said, everybody, nothing has burnt down that I know of because
Yeah.
nobody's sent anything to me. It's so quiet. It's like, okay. I mean, they've asked about the hurricane and how everything, and I said,
Yeah.
we're fine and all that. But it's just like when you say that you're also working with your team, when you had this little bit of a setback, did you have specific kind of systems in place? What are some things that you feel help you and your team to be more efficient in this crazy world we call real estate?
I think exactly what you're is systems, right? It's consistency. At the end of the day, we can use new technology and integrate it into the way that things have quote unquote always been done, but it doesn't replace the human experience. And what clients want, bar none, is communication, right? They want the
Yes.
information that they need when they need it. And when we have the proper systems in place, we can deliver that in a timely manner and we can do it in a way that's proactive rather than reactive. And so that's the biggest thing that I coach my agents on is here are the systems, right? This is how we utilize them. And here's how to effectively integrate those into your day-to-day life. And it's not one size fits all, right? I always tell people I am definitely a morning person. You do not want me negotiating anything for you after 8 o'clock at night because my brain is absolute mush, right? You are not getting the best. But during the morning, I am on and I am ready to go. And so I've realized that about myself. And so I always do the more brain intense, we'll call them tasks, on the first half of the day. And then in my afternoon, I do some of the stuff that doesn't take as much concentration. And so I think it's just being able to take those systems and integrate them in a way that makes sense for you. You know, some of my agents are very much night owls. They're like, okay, please don't call leads at 10 o'clock at night. That's a no. But maybe we start at 6 instead of 9 a.m. That's okay. Figure out what works for you and find a way to make it fit and feel comfortable because I think that's when people stick with it.
It's kind of interesting as some of the things that you've said. It's like sip, sell, repeat in real estate is basically, I guess the word that I want to say, drawn off of whether you're sipping your coffee or a glass of wine. We as women, we have some unique qualifications that we bring to the table.
Yes.
And I believe and our communication is key. And so those communication, it's two-way street and how we work with not only our agents, but our clients who then, like you mentioned earlier, have become your friends. The very first, just to share a real quick story, is the very first client I ever had 25 years ago. Walked into my office. I was sitting at the desk. I mean, I hadn't even been in real estate for maybe a week.
I love this.
And yeah, right. I'm sitting at the desk doing desk duty. Ben comes walking in. I have a checkbook. I'm buying a house today. I went, that's pretty good. So
Let me help
taking him
you.
out. Yeah, exactly. Taking him
Yeah.
out. And I also learned a really good lesson. It's the very first house we looked at. There was a pink kitchen. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck if I would we, I said pink and Diane goes, oh, absolutely. Okay. So then we went and looked
Okay.
at about 5 more houses and came back and made an offer to that house. And
Yeah.
between them buying a house, selling a house, Hurricane Ivan destroyed that house, buying another house, 2 children buying houses, then selling all the houses. So over the years, I think it came up to about 10 houses
Yeah.
and the children are now in their 30s. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, oh God, they're in their 40s. That's crazy. But just, I think when you mentioned your friends, how important do you feel that staying in touch and that referral base is to your success, not only for yourself, but for your team?
I think it's huge. I mean, over 90% of our business is repeat and
Yeah.
referral. And again, it goes back to systems, right? My clients are not using anyone else. Like they know. My agents joke and they send me some of those memes online with the agent who's like burying the body behind them and they're
Yeah.
joking about like They went with
Yeah.
Maria down the street. And I'm like, nope, nope, not going to happen. They know that because I stay in touch with them.
Right.
We have an entire system where it's from the second that they close, checking in on that first night. How did it go? Did you get unpacked okay? What can we do? And then just continue that. We stretch it out a little further, but every single quarter for the eternity of time, they are going to get a touch point from us. It's something that it's made me a lot of friends. My husband and I moved down here and we didn't know anyone. And so my real estate clients have in very large part become our social sphere as well.
Mhm.
We've met some great people. I think part of that too is from the beginning, I've been very picky about who my clients are. And if you're not a good person, I'm not going to work with you. It's just not worth the energy that it's going to take to get you across that finish line. We spend a lot of time with some of these people, and I want to enjoy that time. Um,
I
so
I
I,
am
I
so
think
glad
that
you
helps.
mentioned that. No, I'm so glad you mentioned that because especially as a young agent coming on board, "Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta accept this person." I said, "No, you don't." I
Yeah,
said, "Somebody who's rude, somebody who's running you all over the place, somebody who's not responding." I always in my training too is, okay, you're they may be interviewing you, but you're
mhm,
interviewing them too. And
exactly.
if
I say the
you're
same
not getting
thing.
a yeah, if you're not getting a good vibe, if something's not you do not have to accept them. And
Yeah,
our
move on.
presentation, we bring that up front.
Yep,
You're
we do
interviewing me,
too.
but I'm interviewing you too. And maybe this just isn't a fit for us.
Yeah,
And that is the hardest thing to get across to a new real estate agent because they think they're going to lose the deal, which the deal will stretch them out over time and
exactly.
energy and things like
It
that.
costs so much more.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you, can you think of an experience that you had where it is just the worst real estate deal you ever had? You don't have to say names
Uh-huh.
or anything like that. Just what happened? Anything
Yes.
come to mind like that?
Oh yeah, I have one. It was my second year in,
Oh
and
gosh.
let's just say they did not make it into the database. They were promptly deleted the second that closing happened. Like, I hope you have a lovely life, and on you go. They were a buy and a sell,
Oh,
and in a nutshell, they didn't disclose a lot of really important information
oh
to
no.
me on the sell side that led to a lot of very large financial checks being cut to the buy side in order to keep that deal together. And on the buy side, they did not listen to my advice. We went into a house that had been flipped, and I shared with them permits were not pulled. This is
Yeah.
lipstick on a pig. This is
Right.
not a good fit. And they did not care. They were distracted by the shiny objects, and they literally screamed at me when we were there with the inspector doing the walkthrough. And I just stood there and I took it. And then when they were finished, it was like, all I'm going to say is, I told you so. So you can be as mad at me as you want, but you're really mad at yourself right now. And you're not
Oh,
going to speak to me this way ever again. But yeah, and it
yeah.
was hilarious because they actually tried to refer me one of their friends at the closing table. And I turned to the other agent and I said, if you'd like this referral, it's all yours. I'm good. And they just looked at me like I was like, have a great life.
We're
We're
done.
done. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
and
like, no.
I've had a few of those
Oh,
too. And it's not worth your time and energy.
it just
And
really isn't. I
drains
just remember that
everything.
feeling. That
Yeah.
feeling when you see
Yeah.
that name pop up on the caller
It's
ID
like,
and
oh,
it's
I
just not
know.
worth the anxiety. Yeah. Yeah.
What about one of the best experiences that you ever
Oh,
had with a family or even
oh,
single or whoever? What's one of the best experiences you've ever had?
that's a harder one. I have to be honest. I think because I've been very particular, I have so many incredible clients. I have one, my husband and I actually went to Italy a few years ago for her wedding. She has been such a tremendous client and an incredible friend. But she started as an investment property purchase.
Okay.
And then it led to, I think we've done 7 sales together now. So she purchased a bunch of investment properties and I helped her with her personal. We're now in talks. She's now married. And so now we're in talks of them getting their first house together. And, I think working with someone like her has been incredibly rewarding to me from a few different points. One, just the relationship that's come out of it. She's referred me her parents, and to me, that's the ultimate
Yeah.
trust. I think too, though, the fact that I was able to meet this incredibly dynamic young woman who was just fearless. And she said, I want to build passive income through investing. I'm going to figure this out. And I want to be able to leave my job because I don't get joy out of it. The only thing that I was selfishly upset of when she finally left it, she was thinking about becoming a real estate agent, and I desperately want her to still to this day. She'd be phenomenal. But
Yeah.
her and her husband started up their own business instead. And no surprise, they're absolutely crushing it. But I think for me, that's probably one of the most rewarding client experiences because I just got to see her growth through the years,
Yes.
and just, really see the difference that it was able to make in her life and giving her the freedom to make those decisions. And I just think that's incredible.
And as the years go on, the marriage and then
Yeah.
potentially the children or the fur
Mhm.
babies or whatever
Yes,
it is, and being involved is, and it's so rewarding. It really
it
is.
really is.
And then when the children buy the houses from you, that's when you're starting to see, oh my God, you're how old right now? Okay, we're going to go. Oh, that's when that happens.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and be honest. I'm thinking of my friends with their little kids coming over, and I hope I'm not still in real estate when she's buying a house because I'm
I
already
never
in my
thought that I would
40s. So
be.
I'm
I
like, oh,
really never thought that I would be. And here I'm my late 60s, but I never thought that I would be. But I mean, I'm still enjoying it. There are the frustrations
yes.
and the things you go through because of the changes and everything that happens.
Yeah.
But still, that person buying their first home as a first time home buyer and just giving you a hug, it's like
It
it's
never gets
always just
old.
wonderful. It never gets old.
Yeah.
So, what do you think one thing that you wish your client would understand about selling their home?
I put this in a kind way. Listen, I would like them to actively listen. I
Excellent.
think I think the most frustrating part is real estate agents are interesting. The public perception of us has
That's what I was gonna
changed
ask.
so drastically.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I always teach my agents on is when I'm talking about compensation and things, my professional service fee, right?
Mhm.
I am your professional real estate agent. And I use the word professional many, many times in my marketing presentation because there's a difference, right? And unfortunately, not everyone in this industry is a professional, just like with every other industry. And I always point that out to everyone. There's always people that aren't amazing in every industry. It's just how it works, right? We hope they find their way into what they are amazing at and out of this, but it happens. But I think it's so frustrating to sit with sellers and you give them, all right, you hired me as a professional to tell you exactly what needs to happen to get you the most money possible in the shortest time possible. Here's what my recommendations are. And then when they just say, nope, I'm not doing any of that, right? I'm not going to make this investment. It's like, then you go on the market and it sits. And then they're furious at you, like, well, why didn't, and I'm like, nope, you didn't do this. So I've actually started at this point, I started this a few years ago. When I sit down with my sellers, I create a bulleted list of my recommendations. And if they choose not to accept them, one, if they decline enough of them that I don't feel comfortable and confident
Yeah.
listing the property anymore, I just politely tell them, right, same way as the buyers, this is a two-way interview. I really appreciate your time and the opportunity to interview for this position. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm the right fit. I think you're really looking for just a transactional brokerage who's going to pop a sign in the yard, get you on the MLS. Here's some recommendations. Go for it. Sometimes when I say that, they will backtrack and be like, okay, she's serious. We're going to go with this. But sometimes they don't. And then usually I get the call when it doesn't sell and it's expired and now we have to come in and rescue. But I also have just started making it clear if you're not going to do these, I'm going to make you put in writing that you understand the repercussions of this, that you will get less for the property, that you will have longer days on market. And I really make them accept responsibility for their decisions because at the end of the day, I can't force them to do what, in my professional opinion, needs to be done. But I want there to be some accountability on both sides because, again, I look at this as a partnership and if both partners aren't bringing their best to the table, then it never works out. Right. So it's like you really have to be conscious of that. And just, I think holding them accountable and holding their feet to the fire a little bit, it doesn't let them off so easily. And so then if the days start getting longer, it's a much easier conversation of, okay, here's what we need to do. Are we going to pull it off and do what I said, or are we price dropping? Because those are your two options, right?
Right. And I've done the same thing as we go through the presentation. We get, okay, now this is what we're going to do, but no. And I go,
Yes.
okay. So, and I come back with, I said, okay, so what's going to happen if we don't do it my way, since I'm the professional that you're hiring, and I do it your way? Then I just basically say, does that make any sense that you've hired me to be your professional real estate
Right.
agent? And I've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm telling you, it's not going to work,
Mhm.
but this is what we're going to do. And in 1 week, if this, and I just give them kind of a timeline, and I say,
Yep.
because you told me this, but then they
Mhm.
get to this, but no, we don't, but that's not what you told me.
Yeah.
So we're going back and forth, and we're trying this, and we're saying, okay, so I've got a gal right now that she told me what she wanted. We did what we kind of worked through the whole process. And I told her, we do not want to be sitting on the market for 6 months. Well, of course it has been. I think we're at 4 months right now.
But yeah.
She's turned down 2 cash deals
Ooh,
that were one was only 5,000 below what she wanted. And I go, are you serious? Oh, but I know y'all can
that's
get this. So
not.
now that was 2 months ago. So here we are, 4 months. And so when I get back, I said, we're going back over this. And because I think
Mhm.
that second person still wants your house and will buy it for cash.
Mhm.
But yeah, sometimes that's an infuriating part of this business, where you
It is.
actually do give your professional advice and then they don't take it. It's really hard with some of the investors. And because I'm an investor myself, and I've gone through
Mhm.
everything possible you could ever think of. Well, maybe not everything, because some things always surprise me. I go, what? Okay. Anyways, but from that standpoint, because of all the TV station or channels and the
Ugh.
shows and HGTV says this, and I go, no, it doesn't work like that.
And a
So,
luxury agent drives a Rolls Royce and walks
oh, I
around the
know.
house in stilettos. And I'm like, sure, sure they do.
Yeah,
None of
that's
them
what I
can
was just
afford
going to
that.
ask you.
But yes.
What was something that people also believe about us as agents in our business that really isn't true? So,
It's funny. I think it's the consumer and also other agents. I have been fascinated with the number of times that I will meet people and they're like, "Oh, you're not who I thought you were going to be." And I'm like, "Well, what did you expect?" They're like, "Well, you're a top producer, so we expected like this whole costume." And I was like, "Well, you get what you get, right?" I'm like, "I haven't worn heels, as my husband knows. I call them dinner shoes. If I'm going from the house to the car to the table and then back in that pattern, I'll put on a pair of heels every once in a while. But otherwise, I'm going to wear sneakers. I am going to be safe. I am going to be comfortable. Like my job is to explore these houses and make sure there are no surprises. And I am the crazy lady that gets into crawl spaces still. So,
oh, I know.
I'm like, that's not, no. And I think the other misconception is just if you don't have the flashy get up and everything else, you haven't sold anything. And I'm like, if you actually dig into the statistics, it's usually quite the opposite. And so I always find that interesting that there's this persona and caricature that's been created through these reality TV shows
I know.
that people expect to be this. And I'm like, just not, that's not me. And if that's what you're looking
Well,
for, fine.
yeah. Well, and
Well,
then also from the investor standpoint, like, oh, I can get this done in 3 weeks. That is not going to happen. You
yeah.
know,
And they're going to replace the kitchen for 10 grand because the Property Brothers did that. And like they had
I,
sponsors. Yes.
exactly. And
Yes.
I said, let's just start over here. So let's be realistic. Let's go through what if I need to, from an investment standpoint, I need to know where you're at financially,
Yeah.
time, blah, blah, blah. So if you're going to go get hard money, we don't want to sit
Mhm.
on this so that you're spending 6 months trying to get something done. However,
No.
what you're looking at is going to take 6 months. So
Hmm.
so that I think comes back to communication again,
It
and
does.
trust and belief. that I know it's harder for the newer agent and the newer person working with an investor. That's where that mentorship comes in. I go with a lot of my agents, whether there's listing appointments or even I don't do many buyers, but buyers or whatever,
Mhm.
just to make sure that they feel comfortable, or I'm the one that's putting together the numbers for the B&B,
Yes.
that kind of thing. And I'm presenting it and I'm
Yep.
helping, so that they have that expertise behind them since they're somebody new. And there's some of the other
Yes.
things when you bring a new agent on that you like to do with them or encourage them to do.
Well,
Mhm.
so the biggest thing that we do a personality assessment before they
Yep.
come on the team. And so I have a conversation and sit down with them and I'm like, here's what your natural strengths are and here's what your weaknesses are. We're going to work on these. And so we dial in on that. We also use that to align with what their ideal customer is going to be. Who does that person look like? If you are 22 years old, fresh out of college,
Yeah.
you're still going to the clubs at night, good for you. But you're probably not going to connect very well with a family with young kids who wants a lot of information about schools. And so I kind of tell my clients, look, go with who you're most comfortable with, right? Where are you naturally and authentically just going to be able to be confident, but relaxed at the same time, and you have something to bring of value to the table outside of your knowledge of the home. So that's a big thing that we do. All of mine, when they work with investors, when they work with anyone, I shadow them and we work together on their first deals. And I don't really
First
have a
couple
set
deals.
number. It just depends on the agent. I'm like, look, when you feel comfortable and confident taking it on, I'll let you go, and I've never had any of them say that before I felt like they were ready, thankfully. So we've been good to go there with the investors. We have a bunch of templates they can use. But same thing, they complete them and then they reach out to me and we do a mock practice of here, you
Right.
present this data to me. I'm going to go back at you and ask you the questions that an investor is going to ask, and you've got to be able to answer this. And if they're uncomfortable, I will absolutely hop on with them and do it with them. I try and do that as little as possible because I don't want to take control of that relationship.
Right.
And I want them to get comfortable and confident doing it themselves. But we will do a lot of role playing before they'll hop on that call.
That's I think that's for those of us agents or brokers or team leaders, that do have people working around or with us that may have just come off the street or just taken their test.
Yeah.
And of course, the real estate test just does not teach anything about
No, there's very
real
little that
estate.
you're taking and using.
But then I don't want my agents to get stuck in courses all the time, just taking classes. Just you've got to get out there and you've got to make a go of it. Take the licks to start off. And you know what? I'll rescue you if that needs to happen.
Hmm.
I've always started with people they know. I said, if you just
Yep.
listen to me, especially during Christmas time, we're going to send out 100 Christmas cards. We're going to really promote this is what you're doing, da 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 da. We're going to
Yeah.
launch you, making sure that everybody knows that you're making this a career. It's not
Yes.
just, and if you don't have any entrepreneurial skills, since you're only 22 years old or 25 or even 30, you've got to understand that. And that's the other thing I know I really harp on is time. Oh my God.
Yes.
Getting that agent into the office, making them go through, not making, encouraging, since we're not allowed to do that, but encouraging that they have a set schedule so that
Yes.
we can get them on the right path. That's really difficult with
Yes.
people who may have just come out of college or have had jobs where
Yeah.
they
The
go to.
corporate where
Yeah,
someone tells them,
right.
yeah, we don't. So we're 100% remote. So we don't have bricks and mortar office,
Oh, okay.
but we have a weekly team meeting that we check in, but everybody shares their calendars too. So I keep an eye on it and I keep an eye on their activity. We use Follow Up Boss. So I can see how many calls,
Oh,
how
got
many
it.
emails, how many texts they're making. And if I see the activity levels start to drop down, they get a little phone call. And I'm like, hey, so what's going on this week? Seems like not much. Let's chat through this. So I think for me, it's always a careful balance of not wanting to micromanage them because this is their career and I want them to take responsibility for it at the same time, trying to reinforce those good behaviors and get them started off so that we're not trying to break bad habits down the road.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, everybody's different. And
Yes.
you've got to balance that. The homework on our part is upfront, like you using a personality test or myself
Mhm.
too, or finding out their background, getting to know them a
Yes.
little bit and just see, well, where do you want to go with this?
Mhm.
And just really figuring all that process out. Well, let me ask you, Allison, how can the
Yes.
ladies that are listening to us today get in touch with you so we can share referrals and we can learn from each other?
Yeah, I would love that. They can follow me on Instagram. It's at AH Alston 1122. Or they can email me, Allison with one L at lodestonerealestate.com. Those are probably the two best ways to get in touch with me. I'm always open to networking with other agents and helping people out. It's fun to meet other people and hear what they're doing and learn some new tips and tricks along the way.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna get off on this right now with you. Thank you again for joining us, and I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having
And
me.
if you're inspired by these powerful women in real estate, you'll want to catch the next conversation. Click the video on screen to keep sipping, selling, and leveling up your game.